Welcome back to Agnes Gazette, guys. I am Blanca. Today we are honored to have Ms. Thanmayee with us, a very talented poet whose work is recognized internationally by Derek Sellison's workshop in Canterbury. Her poem, Ek Summer in Kashmir. Welcome, Thanmayee. Can you introduce yourself?
Hi audience, I am Thanmayee Bhatt from 3rd BA. I am also the Vice President of Arts and Humanities, and it's a pleasure to be here.
I want to ask you, Thanmayee, what inspired you to write this poem? Can you explain the central message or the theme of the poem?
Okay, so the title of the poem is A Summer in Kashmir. So the poem is about the Hindus of Kashmir who were attacked by their fellow Muslims, which was a very brutal attack if you read up about it. And the inspiration, if you ask me, was the movie Kashmir Files, which stars Anupam Kher and was directed by Agnihotri, I think. So I think that is where the inspiration started, and I read up more about it. I went through a lot of documentaries which were on the same themes. So that is where it all started.
Okay. How did you feel when the poem A Summer in Kashmir was selected Word That Heals organization?
Words That Heal was an anthology where I gave 2 of my poems. A Summer in Kashmir was not one of those, but I gave 2 other poems which got selected to be in the anthology.
Can you explain our audience what is the term anthology?
So anthology is basically a collection of poems.
Okay.
So it was from various people from all over the country. So it's a collection of poems basically, anthology. Or it could be a collection of stories as well.
How did you feel when that poem got selected? Who informed you or anything?
About A Summer in Kashmir, we have Jerry ma'am who used to teach English in St. Agnes College. So it was through her that the poem actually went to the author, Derek Sellin. So both of us, Jerry ma'am and me, submitted the poems together. It was for a workshop that he was working on Indian authors and their works. So we sent in the poems, and I think the call came from Jerry ma'am. So she said that it was selected and it was an honor.
Okay. Your poem shows how empathy can cross religion and cultural boundaries. Can you explain?
Yes, the central idea of it all was basically to cross all boundaries, because we humans can be inhumane sometimes, and empathy doesn't come easy to most of us these days. So my intention of writing that poem was not to create more barrier between the cultures, but to show that there was history, we need to acknowledge it, but also learn from the past. So yes, we all need to learn empathy, I guess.
Okay. Do you believe poetry can play a role in uniting India through sharing sorrow and remembrance?
That's a very good question. Not just poetry, I think art as a whole can bring together people, different cultures, ideas, and remembrance. Through art, as we can express history, our traditions, what we have been through in the past, what we look forward in future. So art is a medium for all of that. So and poetry is just a part of that.
I want to ask you, Thanmayee, what inspired you to write poems? The journey, the beginning of this everything.
Thank you, Blanca. That is actually a very good question. I started writing poems at a very young age. Maybe as far as I remember, 4th grade, 5th grade, I started writing poems, which was short but simple and yet very moving, is what my teachers used to tell me. And that is where maybe my teachers were a huge part of this journey, because they kept inspiring me to write more. Even my parents, whenever I wrote a short piece, they used to put it on the status stories. They used to share it with relatives, getting compliments from them. So all of it was a part of how and why I started writing. So there was that constant motivation.
Do you think your parents have upper hand in influencing your poetry or your family?
I wouldn't say both parents actually, because my mother was a huge support, but my father never really encouraged me to do that. They would be like, why poetry? Just focus on your studies. This won't get you anywhere. So mother most, always whenever I wrote my poem, even now, whenever I write something, my mother is the first person to read it.
Oh.
So I would say mother
is the biggest supporter.
Biggest supporter, yes.
Yes. Thanmayee, do you think you will continue this poetry?
Yes. I mean, I still write, and I'm aiming for more. I haven't shared this with anyone, but I have sent a piece to Oxford University Press, which hasn't been selected yet, which is under process. If it gets selected, well and good, but if not, it's a learning curve, right?
We pray for that.
Yes, thank you.
When you wrote this poem, "A Summer in Kashmir," what was your thought process? Like, what was the process that you went through when you wrote this song?
First of all, when I watched the movie, I didn't watch it in theaters, I watched it at home. So the movie moved me pretty much. So I started thinking about it and doing a lot of research, reading up on it. So that is where it all started. Then, as Aristotle always says, poems are not something that is written in the emotions. You think about it, you process the emotions and write the poem in tranquility. So that is what happened. I processed all my emotions about the topic, and then I started working on the poem. First draft which was there was actually very simple. It was maybe 2-3 paragraphs, simple words, not a lot of rhyming, there was no structure. So it went through a lot of modifications, after which the final draft of the poem was ready.
Okay. Did
Yes.
you draft this before, or it was there with you and then you modified it before sending it to?
Yes, the first draft of the poem was with me, but it was very simple. I had shared it on my social media, but never shared it with any of my teachers. So when Jerry ma'am approached me, that is when I thought, okay, this is too simple to have to be read by international people. Especially someone like Derek Sellin, who has won Canterbury Poet of the Year. So that is when I made changes in the poem so that it could be presentable enough at a international stage.
Thanmayee, you write so much of poems. There are so many that you have written, I think. So which was your favorite that was inspirational, that you think this is good?
I think a few years back, maybe almost 10 years back, I lost my grandfather.
Okay.
Almost 10 years back. So immediately after that, I did not know how to process grief. So my escape mechanism would be writing. So I did write a poem on my grandfather, which I wrote it in my workbook of English, which we used to have. So I gave it to my teacher and she appreciated it a lot. So even though it was a child's perspective of her grandfather, very simple language, nothing complicated, no structure, it was just pure emotions in those lines. So that still is my favorite poem, if you ask me.
Thank you, Thanmayee.
Yes.
Thanmayee, you said there are 12 stories in the book. So what was your favorite story in the book?
Okay. Actually, there were 17 stories.
Okay.
And if you ask me, my favorite story was If Twain Did Meet. It was a horror story.
Okay.
And that was the story that I picked to analyze. What was most captivating about the story was the fact that there was a contrast between reality and what you call as belief. So I analyzed it on the perspective of psychology, cultural influence, and the intertwine between environmental factors with ghost stories.
Can you give a brief about the story too?
Okay, so the story was about a family which was in Mangalore, which goes to Ooty for a visit, where they experience all sorts of ghostly stuff, like opening of the doors, turning off the lights. So typical horror movie stuff. So they come back from the place Ooty, and they experience something follows them back from there. So there is this scene where one of the guys, Manuel, his friend's car just revs up on its own without a driver. That is nothing. The story ends with a bunch of friends who were having a holy party in Mangalore, experiencing a collective horror experience. Like they see this white figure in white dress, a lady, which scares them a lot. So what I did was I analyzed the whole story on parapsychology basis. So how parapsychology could have influenced the ghost story or the people in the story.
Do you think psychology gave you a different perspective of looking?
Oh yeah, being
story?
a psychology student was itself a huge advantage.
What was it about Kashmir attack that moved you so deeply, even though you were not directly connected to that?
I mean, I wouldn't say I wasn't directly connected to it because some of my ancestors were from Kashmir. I belong to a family of Gaud Saraswat Brahmins who are basically the residents or were the residents of Gaud Saraswat, which is in North India, somewhere around Kashmir. So maybe that is why I connected to it so much, because of my ancestral history.
Do you think when you know that some ancestral history you have with Kashmir that might have some connection in this poem?
Yes, it might have influenced it, but was not the only reason why I wrote the poem.
Thanmayee, I heard that you were a panelist in this book launch of Miss Matilda in St. Agnes College. How was the experience and how did this opportunity come to you?
I was given this opportunity by Miss Matilda herself when I got a call from her to be the panelist. So it was her book launch, Gravedigger, highly recommended by the way to all the audience. So she wrote the book and she wanted to launch it here at St. Agnes College, and she asked me to be the panelist. First of all, I did not know what a panelist was supposed to do or what the group discussion would be about. But then I was excited that I was getting a free book, so I agreed to it, and later I realized that I had to read the book and analyze it critically for the panel discussion. That is where the problem lied. So I agreed to it because I couldn't say no at that point. And it all sorts of happened. I chose a story, did an analysis, but what was most honoring for me, if you ask, was the fact that I was the youngest panelist in that panel group discussion. The rest of them were professors, PhD candidates and teachers. So I was the only student sitting there. So that was a great learning experience.
So you just said that it was a great difficulty. So I want to know what was that difficulty that you faced?
The language that Miss Matilda used in that book was very old school, very academic English. So that was very difficult for me to understand and analyze because I had to analyze the story that I was given. So that was a little difficult for me because I had to either refer to dictionary, then go back to the story, then think about the author's perspective and even think about what was her intention behind writing the story. So that was the difficult part.
Before we conclude with this interview, Thanmayee, can you leave a message for our audience?
Okay. What I would like to say to the audience is find a way to express yourself. It could be through art, it could be through poetry, writing, stories. Just find a way to express yourself so that you don't have to bottle up everything, because as a psychology student it won't be pretty if you keep everything within yourself. So speak to others, we are all a bunch of stories at the end of the day. So find each other's stories and tell the world your own.
It's been a pleasure to have you, Thanmayee. Thank you for sharing your thoughts and experiences,
Thank
the
you
journey
for
that
having
you
me.
had till now, and we hope you success in the future. Thank you.